Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India, India's voice to the world. This is News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn. Namaskar. Coming up in the next hour. War clouds hang over West Asia. The US says military moves in to de-escalate tensions. Anti-immigrant protests rise in the UK in the aftermath of a stabbing incident as far-right groups spread disinformation campaign. Fresh violence erupts in Bangladesh, demanding Prime Minister Hasina's resignation. She calls it sabotage. Indians advised not to travel to Bangladesh. Closest ever photo finish in the men's 100-meter sprint final in the Olympics. Noah Lyles of the US wins gold by 5,000th of a second. As Iran threatens to retaliate against Israel for the alleged killing of Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh, the United States and its allies are actively seeking to de-escalate tensions in West Asia. To address the escalating situation, President Joe Biden has called a meeting with his national security team on Monday to assess the latest developments in the region. Furthermore, the White House has announced that President Biden will engage in a discussion with King Abdullah of Jordan on Monday, aiming to address the rising tensions. Meanwhile, the US is deploying additional military might in West Asia as a defensive measure with a goal of de-escalating tensions in the region. The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu accused Hamas of delaying a peace agreement to end the Gaza conflict and free Israeli captives. At a cabinet meeting in Jerusalem on August 4, Netanyahu stated that although Israel accepted the initial framework of the deal, Hamas keeps insisting on further modification, hindering progress.
The simple truth is that until this moment, Hamas has not agreed to the most basic terms of the outline. While we have not added a single demand to the outline, Hamas is the one demanding to include tens of changes. It has not begged from its demand that Israel cannot return to war. It demands from us to withdraw from the Philadelphia corridor and the Rafah crossing. It's lifeline that will allow it to rearm and again grow stronger.
The group of 7 major democracies, they have urged restraint and de-escalation in West Asia on Monday, stating that the recent events threatened to ignite a broader conflict in the region. In an official statement, the G7 members urged all involved parties once again to refrain from perpetuating the current destructive cycle of retaliatory violence, to lower tensions and to engage constructively towards de-escalation. Well, Trent Murray is now joining us from Beirut in Lebanon. Trent, how ominous are the war clouds over Lebanon, and what precautions are people taking?
Well, look, it's a fairly busy Monday afternoon here. There's a lot of traffic on the road. I think most people in the Lebanese capital are going about their day as they normally would, off to work and the like. But there certainly is a tense atmosphere here in the city because I think many people here realise that the situation could very rapidly change. We, of course, have seen very strong rhetoric from both Hezbollah, that militant group which is based here, and also Iran. They are part of what's called the axis of resistance, and they certainly are telegraphing that something big is coming. And I think for many people here, fresh in the memory is the 2006 war, which very quickly spiraled out of control and saw the IDF begin bombing Beirut quite quickly. Now, what we know is that the warning time for Hezbollah attacking Israel is very, very small. They have an enormous arsenal of rockets and missiles, and they are parked right up on Israel's border. And so if they were to decide to launch an attack, there would not be very much warning time for the Israelis. And many analysts say that they could quite quickly overwhelm the Iron Dome system, which intercepts them. Now, of course, that doesn't even take into account the other groups, namely the Iranians. Their cruise missiles take about 12 minutes to arrive to Israel. The drones much longer. And so I think there is just a general sense of unease amongst many. We know many foreign nationals are scrambling to try and take flights out, given the advice from their governments, but it's not an easy thing to do. There are very few flights now because most European airlines have stopped flying here because of safety concerns. And so trying to get a seat on the few airlines that remains is both a very expensive task and a very difficult task. We understand very, very long lines right now at Beirut International Airport.
Tough times, definitely, Trent. But, fill us in with efforts to de-escalate the tensions.
Yeah, well, look, there's obviously a flurry of diplomatic activity happening right now to try and avoid this spiralling into a full-blown war. We know King Abdullah of Jordan dispatched his foreign minister to Tehran yesterday. That was the first time the foreign minister has visited Iran in 9 years, and I think it speaks to the activity that is taking place. I note, as you mentioned in your introduction, President Biden will be speaking to King Abdullah later today, so presumably there will be a readout of what the Iranians told the Jordanian foreign minister. We also know that a number of embassies here, though, are preparing for a crisis. The Swedish embassy has already evacuated its staff to Cyprus, an island nation just off the coast here of Lebanon. The British embassy and the UN has sent family members of diplomats home because of safety concerns. So I think while the diplomatic activity is taking place, there is also precautions being made in case there is a major escalation, and several countries now are preparing to remove some of their diplomats in case that happens.
Trent Murray in Beirut, thanks very much. The ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine saw a surge in violence on Sunday with Ukrainian attacks, leaving 14 people injured, including several hurt in a market bombing in the Russian-occupied town of Oleshki in Kherson region. In a separate incident, Ukrainian forces fired 12 rockets at Luhansk, a city in northeastern Ukraine controlled by Russia, but Russian defenses managed to intercept 8 of them. The president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, announced on Sunday that Ukrainian pilots have started flying US-made F-16 fighter jets for operations within Ukraine, marking a significant milestone in the country's defense against Russian invasion. Mali's transitional government announced on Sunday that it has cut off diplomatic relations with Ukraine, effective immediately. This decision comes after a Ukrainian military intelligence spokesperson, Andrei Yusov, seemed to admit to Ukraine's role in recent attacks in northeastern Mali, which resulted in the deaths of the Malian military personnel as well. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer is set to hold an emergency Cobra meeting, I beg your pardon, on Monday. It's joined by top officials of the police in response to widespread rioting that has gripped the nation over the weekend. The stabbings of 3 young girls in Southport and northwest England earlier this week served as a catalyst to this violence. Now, as per reports, anti-Muslim and anti-immigration demonstrations are being incited by far-right disseminating a surge of misinformation, including unfounded allegations that the assailant was an immigrant. The suspect of the stabbings was born in Britain, according to the police there. However, the protests by anti-immigrant and anti-Muslim demonstrators have continued, descending into violence, arson and looting. The British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has condemned the weekend's protests, the violent protests that is, which saw at least 147 people being arrested since Saturday night. Starmer has warned that those involved will face the full force of law.
I utterly condemn the far-right thuggery we've seen this weekend. Be in no doubt, those that have participated in this violence will face the full force of the law. The police will be making arrests, individuals will be held on remand, charges will follow, and convictions will follow. This is not protest. It is organised, violent thuggery, and it has no place on our streets or online.
Well, John Beaver now joins us from Bristol with more on this. John, well, thuggery is what Starmer calls these protests. Have they taken on a life of their own? What's driving them?
Yeah, I think they absolutely have. That's a very good way of putting it. Certainly, to start with, there was a feeling that these were being organised by far-right groups who were maybe protesting immigration and the levels of immigration. But now it has just dissolved into what some senior police officers have said is simply an excuse to start fights, to create violent disorder, to riot, to fight with the police, to fight with counter-protesters who support a multicultural Britain. So it very much seems now that everything is just being used very much just as an opportunity to actually just create some problems, really. And we've seen various senior politicians from the Prime Minister down all saying that the full force of the law will be implemented when it comes to dealing with these people, that justice will be swift and decisive, was how it was put this morning. So certainly the police and senior politicians trying to very much get on top of the issue and to say that this is unacceptable in a modern Britain and that something needs to be done. As you say, this all started after the tragic mass stabbing in northwest England last week, and misinformation about where the suspect was from and the fact that he could have been an immigrant, specifically a Muslim immigrant. We now know that's not true and he was born in the UK. But that's how it started. But as you say, it now does seem to have taken on a life of its own and is very much people looking to cause violence.
John, also, how serious is this xenophobia? Is there fear among the immigrant communities?
There certainly is, yes. We have heard from various charities, from various groups who monitor violence and xenophobia and religious discrimination, Islamophobia, everything like that. And what all of them are reporting back is that people say they are afraid. They are afraid because maybe of their religion, specifically if they're Muslim. We've heard about attacks on some mosques and that there has been improved security at some places to try and counter that. We've heard people saying they're afraid because of the colour of their skin. All of this coming in what is a very multicultural country in terms of the languages people speak, where they're from, what they look like, the religion that they practice. So there is no room for this in modern day Britain, is certainly the message that's coming from the government and from the police as well. It is worth saying, though, that although this violence has been quite widespread, the police have been reacting to it and have known about it. They don't appear to have been caught out by it. It's because, of course, in order to organise these protests, most often these protesters have to gather online to work out the best time and place to meet, and the police have been aware of that. So the police have been out in force in the cities where this has happened. So it doesn't look as though it's going to be spilling out, and certainly the police have promised a firm response in case of any more trouble this week.
John Beaver in Bristol, thanks very much. A group of Mexicans gathered at the US-Mexico border on the 4th of August to express solidarity with the Venezuelan opposition and protest the contested presidential election outcome. The protesters convened at a border bridge to condemn the alleged electoral fraud that led to the re-election of the Venezuelan president, Nicolas Maduro, disputing the legitimacy of the results. Now, still to come here on DD India News Hour. The Philippines and Vietnam to launch the first ever joint Coast Guard exercises in Manila Bay. And Nigerian president appeals to protesters to suspend protests, embrace dialogue. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn. Now, the view, in fact, of ongoing developments in Bangladesh, so Indian nationals there and Indian nationals in general have been strongly advised against traveling to that country till further notice. The Ministry of External Affairs has said that all Indian nationals presently in Bangladesh are advised to exercise extreme caution, restrict their movements and to remain in contact with the High Commission of India in Dhaka through the emergency telephone numbers which are scrolling up on your screen. I can mention them for you. Plus 880 195 838 3679, plus 880 195 383 3680, plus 880 193 740 0591, and those are the numbers on your screen. With around 90 people killed in fresh clashes in protests across Bangladesh and a curfew imposed for an indefinite time, the anti-discrimination student movement has announced that it will hold a March to Dhaka program today to raise its one-point demand, which is the resignation of the Chief Minister, the Prime Minister, Sheikh Hasina, and her government. They urge students and the people there across the nation to participate in the March to Dhaka. Three coordinators of the movement, Asif Mahmood, Sajja Salam and Abu Bakr Majumdar, they have confirmed their march. And a new wave of protests comes as demonstrators, they have raised only one demand, and this is the resignation of Hasina and her cabinet members. They also initiated a campaign of non-cooperation at the same time, advising citizens not to pay taxes and migrant workers not to remit money home via banking systems. The anti-government protesters, they clashed with the police in at least 20 districts on the first day of the student-led non-cooperation campaign on Sunday, which intends to maintain pressure on Prime Minister Hasina to resign. And Prasenjit Bakshi has been following this story closely from neighboring West Bengal, Kolkata he is based in. Prasenjit, how has this protests, this resurfacing of these protests?
Look, Mark, if I say that whatever we will discuss, that information will be of last 2 hours, because if it is now 2:15 here in Indian time, then I think by 12:15 the entire communication system of Bangladesh is closed. Somehow the broadband system was active since 12:30, but after that the broadband system is also closed by their government. So that is why for the last couple of hours it is really difficult to get information, whatever trickling in through different sources, through SMS or whatever, that this march to Dhaka is a major challenge for the today. As you were mentioning regarding yesterday, yes, there was a lot of violence there. There was very gruesome killing happened in Bangladesh, and which has turned the entire situation so scary and so challenging for the government that we are waiting for, Mark, that what would happen in the next couple of hours.
Yes, Prasenjit, so how is the government there planning to deal with this March to Dhaka situation?
Look, a huge amount of security forces deployed in and around Dhaka city, and not only the Dhaka city, all the major cities, all the district headquarters, everywhere a major security deployment has happened. But even then, what killing has happened yesterday, that is on Sunday, that was really concern about the government. So this time government is trying to persuade the protesters. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has said that doors of her Gana Bhavan, which is her official residence, that is open for the protesters for discussion. But you know that as I said, that for the last 1 hour or couple of hours we are not getting any information, but still the situation is challenging, and this march towards Dhaka is happening, and huge amount of security forces deployed in and around Dhaka city, Mark.
Right, and Prasenjit, what are the main demands of the protesters? They are asking for the government of Sheikh Hasina to be to resign, but I mean, is that just the one-point demand?
Look, Mark, here is the dispute or debate lies, because you know that when students started their agitation in the last month, that was against the quota system there, which later absolutely reformed by the Supreme Court of that country, which is later gazetted by the government of Bangladesh. But now the demand which initiated fresh agitation and violence from Saturday, that is the resignation of the government of the Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. So the experts are saying from Bangladesh and those who are observing Bangladesh that in the disguise of the students, some other political forces, they are in this movement which started from Saturday, and the pattern of the movement is saying that maybe different political forces, they are acting in the disguise of student forces. Mark.
Prasenjit Bakshi from Kolkata, thanks very much. Now, the Australian government has elevated the nation's terrorism threat alert to from possible to probable, citing concerns about increasing radicalization among young people and community tensions over the Israel-Hamas conflict. It is the first time that a threat level has been elevated to midpoint of the 5-tier National Terrorism Threat Advisory System since November 2022. The level had been probable in the previous 8 years.
I want to reassure Australians, probable does not mean inevitable, and it does not mean there is intelligence about an imminent threat or danger. But the advice that we've received is that more Australians are embracing a more diverse range of extreme ideologies, and it is our responsibility to be vigilant. To be clear, this is the same threat level that was in place in Australia for more than 8 years before it was lowered in November of 2022.
This week, the Philippines and Vietnam are launching their first ever joint Coast Guard exercise in Manila Bay. A Vietnamese ship arrived at a port in the Philippine capital on Monday to kick off the first ever joint Coast Guard exercise in the Manila Bay by both countries. Friday's drill will be the first between the two Southeast Asian countries, which have competing claims over some parts of the South China Sea and have had run-ins with China's Coast Guard in the disputed waterway. During a state visit to Vietnam by the Philippines President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. in January, Manila and Hanoi signed 2 agreements to boost cooperation between their coast guards and to prevent untoward incidents in the South China Sea. The North Korean leader Kim Jong-un presided over a ceremony in Pyongyang where he introduced a new tactical ballistic missile system to the military. And during this event, 250 advanced missile launchers were showcased, with Kim delivering a speech that emphasized the importance of bolstering the country's nuclear capabilities to counter perceived threats and pressure from the United States. Seoul has said that Pyongyang's illegal nuclear and missile programs were the primary threat to peace and stability on the Korean peninsula.
South Korean and US intelligence authorities are continue to track and monitor the trend of North Korean military's weapon development, and it is necessary to track the weapon system which was publicly reported by the North to check its performance and whether it is weaponized. We believe they are intended to be used in various ways, such to attack or threaten South Korea.
Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu says that he's heard the demands of the people who are protesting against hardship and bad governance in the country. And the protesters have been on the streets in many states across the country since August the 1st. But the president is now appealing to them to suspend these protests and to embrace dialogue. Tessim Akende reports.
The president made the appeal during a nationwide media broadcast. Among other things, the protesters say the government's removal of subsidies on petrol, insecurity and food inflation has brought a lot of hardship for them. Tinubu, who said he appreciates their desire for a better country, noted that some politicians have taken undue advantage of the protest, which is supposed to be a peaceful exercise, for destruction.
Suspend any further protest and create room for dialogue, which I have always acceded to at the slightest opportunity. Nigeria requires all hands on deck and need us all. And I want to assure you that our government is committed to listening and addressing the concerns of our citizens. But we must not let violence and destruction tear our nation apart.
About 15 people have been reportedly killed, including the looting of shops and other business places. The president says his government will not continue to watch the violence, bloodshed and destruction of public and private assets, warning that the law will catch up with the perpetrators. Police in the country say they've already arrested over 600 suspects for various crimes committed as a result of the protest. The legal team to the protesters has called for the suspension of the protest for dialogue, saying the process has been hijacked by criminals. Tessim Akende in Jos, reporting for GD India.
Let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. Cambodia broke ground Monday on a China-funded canal to link the capital Phnom Penh to the sea. The $1.7 billion, 111 miles Funan Tekno canal. It's in fact expected to lower the cost of shipping goods to the country's deep sea port of Sihanoukville. Thailand's master carpenter, Pitham, had created over 40 intricately carved and crafted Lana-style wooden houses, and the site is named Hunpor Sala Daing, and it serves as a learning center for woodcraft and traditional architecture. This site is open to visitors free of charge. Ahead of the 79th anniversary of the atomic bombings on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan is set to commemorate the tragedy on August 6 and 9. On August 6, an atomic bomb nicknamed Little Boy was dropped on Hiroshima by the United States that killed approximately several 100,000 people, in fact. And 3 days later, on August 9, another atomic bomb was dropped on Nagasaki that also killed thousands of people. Nepal celebrates the naming of a crater at the summit of the moon's South Pole mountain in honor of Pasang Lamu Sherpa, the first Nepali woman to climb Mount Everest. And the U.S. Geological Survey, which maps the extraterrestrial planets and the moon as well as topographic and hydrological features on the Earth, has named this crater after her as well. Unfortunately, due to bad weather conditions, she passed away on the descent near the south summit of Mount Everest. Still to come here on DD India News Hour. President Murmu reaches Fiji on the first leg of a 6-day visit. Different parts of India continue to bear the brunt of a fierce monsoon. It's 5 years since Article 370 was abrogated in Jammu and Kashmir.
This summer, the world turns its eyes to Paris, and DD India brings you every heartbeat, every victory, and every story. Introducing our special coverage of the Paris Olympics. Experience the passion, the drama, and the triumphs. with exclusive reports, expert analysis and up-to-the-minute updates. Join us as we bring the spirit of the Olympics to your screens.
Get ready for the ultimate sporting extravaganza on DD India.
DD India presents Champions Day Paris, only on DD India, every day at 6:30 p.m. IST, 1 p.m. GMT.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn. Here's a recap of our main stories. War clouds hang over West Asia. The US says military moves in to de-escalate tensions. Anti-immigrant protests rise in the UK in the aftermath of a stabbing incident as far-right groups spread disinformation campaign. Fresh violence erupts in Bangladesh, demanding Prime Minister Hasina's resignation. She calls it sabotage. Indians advised not to travel to Bangladesh. India's President Draupadi Murmu has reached Fiji on the first leg of a 6-day, 3-nation tour. She was welcomed by Fiji's Deputy Prime Minister. On her arrival in Nadi, President Murmu was welcomed as the guest of honor in the Fijian way by a message Bula Vinaka. President Murmu will meet her Fijian counterpart and the Prime Minister and also address Fiji's Parliament. She will also visit the Sivasubramanya Swami Temple, which is a symbol of the cultural ties between the two countries. The President is further scheduled to visit New Zealand and the Democratic Republic of Timor-Leste. She will meet the President and the Prime Minister of both these countries. And this tour, it aims to boost India's Act East policy and also an outreach to countries in the Indo-Pacific. Post a week of intense debates between opposition and ruling parties, the budget session of the Indian Parliament resumed on Monday. Responding to a question in the lower house, the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said that appropriate action is being taken by SEBI in the matter of returning the money of investors in Sahara, India. After the question hour, the Union Law and Justice Minister Arjun Ram Meghwal introduced the readjustment of representation of scheduled tribes in assembly constituencies of the state of Goa Bill 2024 in the lower house. And during a discussion on demand for grants, the Health Minister JP Nadda highlighted the NDA government's achievements in strengthening the health infrastructure with an increase in medical colleges to 731. In the upper house of Parliament, the Rajya Sabha, the Union Minister Hardeep Singh Puri introduced the Oil Fields Regulation and Development Amendment Bill 2024. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has hailed the record gas production in the country, noting that self-reliance in the field of energy is very important in achieving the resolve of a developed country. Responding to a social media post by the Petroleum Minister Hardeep Singh Puri stating that the country has achieved a new record in the field of gas production, the Prime Minister said that this record in gas production is a direct proof of India's commitment in this direction. The gas production in 2020-21 was 28.7 billion cubic meters. It increased to 36.43 billion cubic meters in 2023-24. Now, the data is shared by the Union Minister. It also projected that the gas production in 2026 is going to be around 45.3 BCM. India's Chief of Defence Staff, General Anil Chauhan, chaired an apex-level tri-service financial conference on Monday at the Manekshaw Centre in New Delhi. This conference is aimed to enhance cohesion and synergy in financial issues of the armed forces and will see the participation of senior officials. This conference is aligned with the objectives set for the ongoing drive on integration and jointness in the armed forces, and it's being coordinated by the headquarters of the Integrated Defence Staff to enhance cooperation and also greater synergy on financial issues.
कोई भी आर्म फोर्सेस जो हैं they have to have cutting edge equipment so that they are able to meet all the challenges. To have all this kind of a cutting edge equipment, it is very expensive. We have to depend upon foreign nations. But the need is to become Atmanirbhar. If we understand all the financial nuances very well, we will be able to spend the money in a proper way to get bang for the buck.
सो कॉन्फ्रेंस में बेसिकली सारी सर्विसेज जितने भी हैं यहाँ पे अपने अपने आइडियाज़ एक्सचेंज करते हैं, फाइनेंशियल एडवाइजर्स हैं हमारे पास में, ये देखने के लिए कि हम इस डायरेक्शन में कैसे आगे बढ़ सकते हैं और कैसे कैसे हम मैक्सिमम फ़ायदा उठा सकते हैं जो भी हमारे को बजट एलोकेशन होती है, बिकॉज आत्मनिर्भरता के बिना हमारे पास में और कोई रास्ता है नहीं आगे.
Well, 5 years to the day after India abrogating Article 370 of its constitution, restoring peace and development activities stand out as the major significant achievement in Jammu and Kashmir. The past 5 years have seen remarkable transformation of Jammu and Kashmir. Here's Sakal Bhatt reporting.
मैं मानता हूं कि जम्मू कश्मीर में एक लंबे रक्तपात भरे युग का अंत धारा 370 के समाप्त होने से हुआ.
Unfolding the remarkable transformation of the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, abrogation of Article 370 not only marked endgame of separatism and terrorism in the region, but also a big shift from terror to transformation. Kashmir of India has embraced this change with open arms.
जब से मोदी सरकार की हुकूमत आई है तब से बहुत राहत हमें मिली है. हमें कोई टेंशन नहीं है. जो पिछले 30 सालों में हो रहा था वो सब बदल गए हैं. कोई पथराव नहीं है, कोई हड़ताल नहीं है.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government has, dedicated to healing the wounds that were afflicted upon Kashmiris, that afflicted the hearts and minds of Kashmiris due to the misguided decisions taken after independence. So I feel that as we embark on the future journey, we expect a similar unwavering approach from the Prime Minister Narendra Modi-led government, so that we see a peaceful and prosperous Jammu and Kashmir.
The erstwhile terror and stone pelting infested zones are now bustling with normalcy. Generations privy to the years of terrorism and turmoil speak of semblance of normalcy witnessed in last 5 years.
आज से 5 साल पहले की बात करें, डाउनटाउन में चलना बड़ा मुश्किल था. डाउनटाउन के दुकान वाले बहुत परेशान थे, स्टोन पेल्टिंग होती रहती थी. लेकिन अगर हम आज के दौर की बात करें, डाउनटाउन का हर कोई यूथ अभी अपनी लाइफ को स्मूथली चला रहा है.
There has been a drastic uptick in tourist footfall and trade as well.
I have seen a lot of change in the last 5 years. Before, it was very difficult to do business in Kashmir Valley due to stone pelting, strikes, curfews, and now things has been really changed, and we are thankful to God. And because of the government, they have really taken a good action about those incidents, and we are very, very thankful to the government of India.
पहले पथराव होता है, कर्फ्यू होता था, टूरिस्ट नहीं आता था. अब इन 5 सालों में बहुत फर्क आ गया है. अभी टूरिस्ट भी बहुत आ रहा है और लोग भी अच्छे कमाई हो रहा है और शिकारा भी सब लोग कमाते हैं, होटल वाले, हाउस बोट वाले सब कमाते हैं.
Local inhabitants of Kashmir also speak of the powerful shift in lives of students, signifying the profound impact on education and its continuity.
4-5 साल से अगर हम देखें तो बहुत ही बेहतरीन रहा है. कुछ कर्फ्यू नहीं है, कोई पत्थरबाजी नहीं है, कोई बच्चा डरता नहीं है. अब अच्छे से स्कूल जाता है, कंटिन्यूसली स्कूल जाता है. कॉलेज अगर देखें तो कंटिन्यूसली ऑन रहते हैं.
Kashmir now thrives on newfound peace and progress, a clear transition from shadows of uncertainty and decades of stagnation characterized by shutdowns. All that is history now.
यहाँ की जो चेंज है वो विजिबल है. जब आप कश्मीर में 5 साल पहले की बात करेंगे, स्ट्राइक्स की आप बात करें, स्टोन पेल्टिंग की बात करें, इवन मिलिटेंसी की बात करें, वो ग्राफ पूरी तरह से जीरो पे आ चुका है.
In a big turnaround of ground situation post-abrogation of Article 370, as per Government of India, there has been 70% decline in total terrorism-related cases, an 81% reduction in civilian deaths, and a 48% decrease in casualties of security forces. The current scenario is a testament to the resilience and transformation of a region that has embraced peace wholeheartedly. Sakal Bhatt's report for DD India.
Well, keeping in mind the security concerns on the occasion of the 5th anniversary of the abrogation of Article 370, the Amarnath Cave Shrine pilgrimage has been suspended for a day in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. Security has been tightened in the valley with strict checking of every person. Police and security officials have been posted at every nook and corner. Let's take a look now at other stories making the news. And the Indian state of Maharashtra is witnessing a rise in the number of patients from dengue, from Zika and chikungunya diseases. Now, so far, 66 Zika patients have been detected in Pune city. 5 patients were reported in Pimpri-Chinchwad city, and 113 chikungunya patients have been detected as well in Pune. In a major setback to the Delhi AAP government, or Aam Aadmi Party government, the Supreme Court of India upheld that the Parliament has statutorily conferred the power on the Lieutenant Governor to nominate 10 aldermen to the Municipal Corporation of Delhi without consulting the Cabinet of Ministers. The AAP government had challenged the Lieutenant Governor's decision in the Apex Court. The anti-terrorist squad of Uttar Pradesh state carrying out raids in connection with forged and fake identity cards in Raebareli district, and till date 17 people have been arrested. The suspects were involved in forging fake birth certificates and Aadhaar cards of around 20,000 people. The rescue and search operations in the landslide hit areas of Kerala's Wayanad, they have now entered the 7th consecutive day on Monday. The death toll in the Wayanad landslide disaster has increased to 221. 166 body parts have also been recovered so far, and a total of 53 camps have been set up in Wayanad and other parts as relief operations. Meanwhile, the district forest officer of South Wayanad has said that they conducted search operations for 18 people who were stranded in the Parampara area on Sunday.
Our forest party had conducted a search from the Kandambara side to the Parampara side. Yesterday, 18 persons who had come all the way from Nilambur, they got stranded in the Parampara area and they could not go back. So the forest department people contacted them and they were safe. But we could not conduct any search operations last night. So today morning, along with the help of the NDRF, we conducted a search and we could locate them, and they are very much safe.
The recent cloudburst in Himachal Pradesh has wrought devastating destruction, leaving many districts obliterated. Relief and rescue operations are currently underway in the flood-affected Samej village in Shimla district. Due to flash floods, many roads and national highways have also been blocked in the affected regions. The Lahore Spiti police, they've said the Zinzang bar on the National Highway 3 has been blocked, but restoration work is underway. Heavy rainfall has caused severe flooding in Gujarat's Valsad, with the rising water levels in the Auranga River. Now, people from the low-lying areas of the region have been shifted to safer places. The National Disaster Response Force rescued 7 people who were stranded in the Valsad district. The Gujarat Chief Minister Bhupendra Patel talked to the district collectors of Valsad and Navsari to take stock of the situation. Several parts of Maharashtra too, including Pune and Nasik, are reeling under the flood situation after heavy rainfall there. Disaster response force teams, the NDRF and the fire department are on the spot, and they are rescuing people. Still to come here on DD India News Hour. Bears stare into major stock markets around the world, forcing stock prices to dive.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn. Now, the External Affairs Minister of India, Dr. S. Jaishankar, will inaugurate the first BIMSTEC Business Summit in New Delhi on the 6th of August. The first BIMSTEC Business Summit is to be held in New Delhi from the 6th to the 8th of August. The Minister of Commerce and Industry, Piyush Goyal, other leaders are going to deliver keynote addresses. The Business Summit, what does it do? It aims to foster greater regional cooperation through robust trade and investment relations among the BIMSTEC countries. Several ministers from BIMSTEC countries will be participating in this event. The event is to bring together more than 300 key stakeholders from across the Bay of Bengal region. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has lauded India's growing prowess in the electronics sector as it rose to the third spot among the nation's top 10 exporters by the end of the April-June quarter of 2024-25. Driven by a surge in Apple iPhone exports from India, electronics has surged past gems and jewelry to secure the third spot in exports. Only engineering goods and petroleum products rank higher in the list. Well, Japanese stocks collapsed on Monday, August 5, that is, in their biggest single-day rout since the 1987 Black Monday sell-off, driven by last week's plunge in global stock markets amid U.S. recession concerns and escalating the geopolitical tensions in West Asia. The Nikkei share average shed a staggering 12.4% as Friday's dismal U.S. jobs data heightened worries of a possible recession, as well as the yen rallied to a 7-month high versus the dollar. European shares tumbled to a near 6-month low at the start of the week. The pan-European stocks 600 index was down 3.1% at 482.242 points. So that was how it fell, 482.42 points down, hitting its lowest since February 13. The benchmark is also set for its worst day in 2.5 years. London's FTSE 100 plunged over 1.5% on Monday to hit its lowest in 3 months, I beg your pardon. And the Indian stock market too, the benchmark Nifty 50 and the Sensex dropped about 3% plus, in fact, in sell-off, which was intensified across the board. The Sensex was trading about 2,450 points down at about 78,531. The Nifty 50 had already fallen close to 700 points at 24,021 when reports last came in. Time now for all the sports updates, and for that, Abhishek Mahajan is with me. Over to you, Abhishek.
Right, a lot happening in sports, and the biggest match will be Lakshya Sen. Today he'll be competing in the bronze medal game. In fact, let's start the Paris Olympics updates. United States Noah Lyles was crowned as the world's fastest man in the men's 100-meter final at Paris Olympics after he bagged the gold medal in a photo finish. Jamaica's Keishawn Thompson won silver, falling short of the ultimate prize by fractions of a second in one of the closest 100-meter finals of all times at the Games. Meanwhile, USA's Fred Kerley took home the bronze. Noah Lyles became the first 100-meter men's Olympic champion from the United States since Justin Gatlin won the sprint gold in 2004. Coming to badminton now, India's star shuttler Lakshya Sen will take on Malaysia's Lee Zhe in the men's singles badminton bronze medal match on Monday at Paris Olympics. Lakshya Sen will look to script history and become the first Indian man to win a badminton medal at the Olympics. Sen has an edge against his Malaysian opponent in the head-to-head battle. He has faced Lee Zhe 5 times so far and has won 4 of those matches. And tournament's organizing committee on Sunday suspended India's hockey player Amit Rohidas for next match against Germany at the Paris Olympics. The ban was on the back of Amit Rohidas receiving a red card in the Indian hockey team's quarterfinals match against Great Britain on Sunday, due to which Team India had to play with just 10 players for 40 minutes. However, India defeated Great Britain in that match in penalty shootout. For the next match, Indian team will have only 15 players available to play semi-final against Germany instead of a full squad of 16. All right, let's go across to Paris. DD India's Narayan Singh is joining us live from there. Narayan, let's start with Lakshya Sen. How do you see his chances today? He'll be competing in the bronze medal match and will be up against Lee Zejia of Malaysia.
Definitely, Abhishek, the kind of badminton Lakshya has played throughout the tournament, consistent throughout the tournament, but he lost somehow the semi-final match against the world number 2 Vixel Axelsen. But the kind of consistency he has shown throughout the tournament, he is at the peak of his career and his peak form, and fitness is too at the 100%. But against the Lee, he is a favorite. If you take a look, his head-to-head record, that is 4-1 against the Malaysian Lee, and the rivalry dates back to 2016 when in the first time Lakshya defeated Lee in the India International Series, and after that he defeated him, the Malaysian opponent, in every major tournament except the Thomas Cup in 2022, where India eventually won that Thomas Cup. And after that, in the Korean Open, the 1000 series, there also Lakshya defeated him, and we know that Lakshya, the kind of badminton he is playing, but the Malaysian badminton player too is a very strong, and he is known for his hard smashes and aggressive game, but consistency is a factor against him. He is not very consistent, and we know that Lakshya, the kind of badminton, he gave a stiff challenge to the Victor Axelsen in the yesterday's match. He was leading in the first game, and in the second game too there was a lead of 7-0 at one point of time, but we know that Victor Axelsen is a big match player. He's a beast of the game. He know how to handle the pressure in the big matches, and few unforced errors by the Lakshya costed him the match in the semi-final. Otherwise, we can say that it was a golden opportunity for this boy to win a medal. We can say the gold medal for him at the Olympics, and then we know the cycle of Olympics comes after the 4 years. But the kind of badminton he's playing, we know that he's going to do big in the future, and absolutely in the bronze medal match, Lakshya is a clear favorite against the opponent of the Malaysia.
Also, Narayan, let's talk about Noah Lyles now. Secured a photo finish, and it's the closest 100-meter final contested in modern history of the Olympics, and just 5,000th of a second separated the American champion from Jamaica's Keishan Thompson.
Definitely, sports is a part and parcel of the fractions and margins, and Noah Lyles, we can say that he was a favorite while coming in the Paris to be crowned as the 100-meter sprint champion. We know that this is the race, the most sought after race in the Olympics or in any sports. People are just glued to the TV screen. We were also watching the race yesterday, and we know that there was stiff challenge between the among the competitors, and the way Noah Lyles, just after a long gap, an American winning the race. So we can say that it was on the expected lines that Noah Lyles will win this match, but from other competitors too, it was, we can say, as it was a photo finish and one of the we can say tightest race in the modern history. So we can say that all are ready for this event, and we are hoping that other track and field, as the tournament will progress, will see more attraction and the more, we can say, excitement from the track and field in this competition also. And after, we can say, the departure of the Usain Bolt, who had dominated the race since in 3 Olympics, we can say that that sort of dominance will not be visible now, because there will different players will come. Diamond League is won by different, and the World Championship by different. So now the champions are coming in patches, but that dominance, we can say that like the Usain Bolt, is rare to see.
All right, Nanan, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for your inputs. And after 8 years, the Indian Department of Post has once again released 4 commemorative postage stamps to celebrate the Summer Games in Paris. The stamps were released by Union Ministers Mansukh Mandavia and Jyotiraditya Scindia. The commemorative stamp highlights the spirit of sportsmanship and celebrates the unity of nations as they come together for the Olympic Games in Paris. The stamp also serves as a tribute to the athletes and their dedication, perseverance and excellence in sports. All right, that's all we have in sports stories. Back to you, Mark.
Thanks a lot, Abhishek. And well, the French Air and Space Force contingent will participate in the first multilateral air exercise with India, Tarang Shakti. This is happening 2024 it's set to begin at the Air Force Station Sulur in the coastal city of state, in fact, of Tamil Nadu. It's happening from August 6. The French contingent will comprise 3 Rafale fighter jets, 1 multi-role tanker transport aircraft and 1 A400M, with a total of 160 Air Force personnel, according to the French Embassy in India's press release. To mark the conclusion to Tarang Shakti, the French Pegasus 24 deployment as well, France's Chief of Air Staff, General Stéphane Millet, will arrive in India for the official visit from August 12 to 14. That's all we have in this edition of DD India News Hour. Thanks for watching it. And you can always go to our website, and also you can get the latest news on the DD India mobile app, available in Android and OS. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. My name is Mark Lin, and with me is Abhishek Mahajan. From all of us here, thank you very much for watching DD India News Hour. Namaskar.